Shabbat Shalom. Did someone offer a eulogy at Sarah's burial? The Torah tells us that she lived to be 127, but the text focuses on the intricate details of her burial arrangements. It has fallen to millennia of commentators to craft a fitting tribute to the first Jewish woman. The 11th century master commentator known as Rashi offers us a frame for Sarah's eulogy. Shnei Chayei Sarah kulan shavin l'tova. The years of her life were all equally good. Really? How could that be? All lives have moments of heartbreak and disappointment. Sarah's more than most. How could it be that the years of her life were all good? Commentators have an answer. Sarah, they tell us, could always find the good in all situations and in all people. This allowed her to experience her years as kulan shavin l'tova, all good. Our mother Sarah was a spiritual master of the highest order, a full partner with Abraham in launching our Jewish journey through history, a woman you could not help but love and could only hope to emulate. We don't know who eulogized her. We don't know who, if anyone, stood with Abraham and Isaac laying her to rest in the cave of Machpelah. But we do know this: none of them were Jewish. Still, as they reflected on the nobility, depth, and resilience of her long life, I can imagine that many of them might have fallen in love, not just with her, but with Judaism. As for Abraham, the father of the Jewish people is left with a bundle of promises from the Holy One, a good amount of material wealth, and not much else. Worse, he knows that the Jewish journey will end abruptly unless a suitable partner can be found for his grieving son Isaac. And there are no Jewish women to be found. In this moment, the founder of our spiritual path is all alone. Seeking to purchase a burial plot, he identifies himself to Ephron the Hittite, saying, Ger v'toshav anochi imachem. Here I am an outsider, a stranger, not one of you. No one is immune from being a ger, an outsider, not even Avraham Avinu. In fact, we seem to need the imprint of that pain and sensitivity in order to live our tradition. That journey from the outside in can be traced in Hebrew from ger to giur, from stranger to one who chooses Judaism. Abraham and Sarah themselves were not born into Judaism. They were the first to take that journey and spent the rest of their days sharing their sacred call with others. In his grief, Abraham empowers his trusted servant Eliezer to find the right one. But there's a condition. He insists that Eliezer not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell, but will go to the land of my birth and get a wife there for my son Isaac. That stern instruction has made its way down through the generations. When I was 9 years old, my Eastern European immigrant grandma, Sophie, took me aside and told me that she loved me with all of her heart. But she said that if I married someone who was not Jewish, I'd be dead to her, and she'd say Kaddish for me. I love you too, Grandma. I get it. I really do get it. My grandmother isn't the only Jew for whom the notion of intermarriage awakens fear and danger, calling into question the divine promise made to Abraham and Sarah and all subsequent generations, V'hiyeh bracha, you shall be a blessing. Since our Biennial in San Diego, a group of thoughtful Jewish communal leaders have said that by accepting the reality of intermarriage instead of preaching that Jews should only marry Jews, I am leading our people off a cliff. To be clear, few things warm my heart more than watching Jews fall in love with Jews. That's why the URJ is leading on a variety of communal strategies designed to bring young Jews together in the hopes that they will form meaningful social connections. Youth engagement, Birthright Israel, connecting families with young children, helping our synagogues bring people in from the margins. We are deeply committed to strengthening Jewish life, and that's a big part of the work we're doing under the banner of audacious hospitality that many of you have heard me and others speak so much about. But decades of railing against intermarriage and castigating Jews who fall in love with those from different backgrounds have only closed doors and hearts. And as much as I love watching Jews fall in love with each other, our focus must be on helping more and more of our people fall in love with Judaism. It shouldn't be that hard. You know, we're actually quite lovable. We got so much to offer. And on Thursday night, I talked about how our relevant and inspiring contemporary faith makes us a real catch. But if we want people to fall in love with us, we have to be willing to meet them where they are. Go back to Abraham. Does he really prohibit Eliezer from entering Isaac into an intermarriage? Isaac Abravanel, a 15th century Portuguese commentator, puzzles over the instruction, asking, why did Abraham command Eliezer not to take a wife from the Canaanites? Was it because they were idol worshippers? Surely the inhabitants of Babylon, Aram Naharaim, were no better. Indeed, Eliezer's mission wasn't to find a Jewish wife for Isaac. There was no such Jewish woman on the planet. It was to find the right one who would be open to the same journey from the outside in that Abraham and Sarah had taken, one who would fall in love not just with Isaac, but with Judaism. I spoke on Thursday night about Tikkun Olam as a gateway to Jewish life. Audacious hospitality is how we swing that gate wide open to welcome in those who are on the margins. And it isn't just about being warm and friendly, although I think we could do a little better still on that. It's a transformational Jewish practice, one that stretches us into the people, into the communities, and into the movement that we were meant to be. We aren't erasing boundaries, we're removing barriers. We aren't diluting Judaism, we're sharing it. So who's standing out there on the outskirts of Jewish life? And it's a bit crowded out there at the moment. Surely the largest number are those who are not Jewish, but are nonetheless part of a Jewish family. That's why a few years back, the URJ blazed a new trail by opening our synagogues to interfaith couples. But since then, the numbers have grown larger, and our strategies have not kept pace. Look beyond. What about the 10 to 20% of our community who are Jews of color? What about LGBTQ individuals and couples who were shunned in most congregations until recently? What about people with disabilities? For their contributions, we are made more whole. What about those who were once a part of Jewish life but now feel alienated or simply disinterested? What about the young adults who don't see themselves participating in congregational life now and perhaps ever? What about those of us who are currently members of our congregations but still find ourselves on the periphery? And what about those of us who are only here because someone or something opened the door and welcomed us in? Eliezer makes his way to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nahor, and well beyond the land of Canaan. He prays that God will help make his errand fruitful, asking that the woman who is to marry his master's son appear and offer him and his camels water to drink, and that's exactly what happens. Rebecca may well be the most gorgeous woman in Nahor, but if she is, the Torah doesn't seem to think that's an important detail for us to know. What we do know is that Rebecca is generous, gracious, and inspiringly, dare I say, audaciously hospitable. Rebecca's care for a total stranger and his whole entourage is described in the text as an act of chesed ve'emet. Ibn Ezra explains chesed, or kindness, denotes an intention to do something that is not obligated, while emet, truth, means to give permanence to that kindness. How do you say audacious hospitality in Hebrew? Chesed ve'emet. Our challenge is to be like Rebecca to the strangers on the outskirts of our community. On Thursday night, we discussed Tikkun Olam, perhaps the biggest gateway of all into our world. But not everyone is peering curiously through the same doorway. My way in may be through open-minded and probing study of sacred texts. Yours may be in soul-searing spiritual prayer. Someone else's may be for those struggling with illness or comforting those whose lives are broken by economic or emotional hardship. Practicing audacious hospitality, working hard to invite people in through whatever door they feel most welcoming, doesn't lead to larger congregations automatically. It leads always to a more vibrant, more diverse, and more engaged community. It makes us more thoughtful Jews. Someone asked if we have interfaith couples in our congregation, to which I answered, that's all we have. Look around a congregation, and you'll see a modern Orthodox mother married to someone from an Episcopal background, or a conservative Jew married to someone from a classical Reform background, or a former Catholic who fell in love with someone from a secular Yiddish background, or an atheist married to a proud, believing Reform Jew. That's one of the reasons our movement has grown. And it's not just because we're the easiest choice for people from diverse backgrounds. Building a congregation with a deep commitment to spiritual and religious diversity is potentially a redemptive experience. Think about how much of our lives we spend around those who look like us, dress like us, earn like us, and yes, vote like us. There are very few places in this world where we are forced to live serious pluralism, the kind that forces us into conversation and relationships. But our congregation should be among them, because the world our faith compels us to repair is dizzyingly diverse. Is our work combating racism an issue of audacious hospitality or tikkun olam? It is both. And it is also about strengthening congregations. Indeed, it's no coincidence that this holy work in particular brings together all of our union's strategic priorities. The imperative to repair the brokenness in our world starts at home as we strive to repair those broken places within each of us, and ensuring that our congregations and communities are naturally diverse and welcoming makes them uniquely powerful places to appreciate and cherish that while we are all different, God made each and every one of us the same in that innermost core. I love to pray in a community where women can wear talitot and kippot next to men with neither, alongside elders with kippot but no talitot. I long for the day when a young woman from an African-American Jewish family walks into shul and no one assumes she's lost. I want to see a strong opponent of the Iran deal wish an ardent supporter of the deal a heartfelt Yashar Koach after her aliyah to the Torah. Audacious hospitality doesn't assume that the truth is held inside our congregations and doled out to those we let in, but rather that each person brings a piece of truth in with them, enriching us all. A congregation that's built with audacious hospitality is a foretaste of the world as it could be. But for us, as for Rebecca, audacious hospitality doesn't take place only in the home or in the synagogue. It must be practiced everywhere. Congregations are the most inspiring and adaptable sacred Jewish community the Jewish people has ever created. But they are not the only sacred communities we have. Each of our 15 summer camps is a remarkable community, and so is each of our nifty communities throughout North America, and so is each of our day schools, and so is a Birthright Israel bus, and a Mitzvah Corps cohort in Costa Rica, and a Moishe house, and a Hillel house. If we only strengthen congregations, we will not be strong. Thursday night, we saw how dance can serve as a metaphor for our movement. This morning, given where we are and what we've been experiencing so magnificently, let's try an analogy with music. If you want to build a love of music, it's not enough to build and maintain concert halls. If you want more people to develop a love for song, you need to cultivate a wide range of experiences that together ignite passion for music. Spotify, music camps, after-school lessons, you get the idea. That's why the URJ is working to connect camps to congregations, to NIFTY, to strengthen the network of Reform Jewish life with a growing number of on-ramps. On behalf of strengthening our congregations, we partner with pretty much everyone. Federations, foundations, BBYO, Jewish Funders Network, Hillel, and so many other communal institutions. Why? To shape a web of connectedness that can engage more and more of us and our youth more deeply in Jewish life. Our theory of change also reflects that when it comes to that journey from the outside in, people are more open to taking the first step at certain moments than others. And yes, falling in love is one of those moments when you dream with the person your heart has chosen and imagine a life together. Rabbis and cantors have a unique ability to help couples incorporate Jewish rituals, symbols, and practices in their lives. I challenge us to find a more effective way to have our clergy meet young couples where they are and work with them to shape a holy ritual that fits who they are. As these couples plan their ceremonies and their lives, we need to be not just ready to help, but easy to find. The 3.5 million people who have come looking for us at reformjudaism.org. Did you hear that number? That's a pretty big number. How many Reform Jews? 1.5 million Reform Jews. And tell me that 3.5 million discreet visitors have come to our gathering place on the web. Why? To seek out resources to create Jewish meaning, from sacred texts to guides to holy days, God and Israel. There they can find each of our nearly 900 congregations. So why can't they also find our fabulous clergy? Audacious hospitality can begin with virtual connections. Through this portal, seekers can find all of you and more. Another moment comes when couples bring children into their families, opening themselves to trying on practices that may not have been a part of the couple's life previously, from bedtime rituals to Shabbat table practice. Engaging families with young children is a key way to help create anchors of joy and family and gratitude. From PJ Library to working with our communities of practice, we are building these communities of families with young children. Many, if not most, are interfaith. Many include Jews of color. Those who fall in love with the excellence of our programs and the spiritual and ethical anchors of Judaism will not all become members, but many will. And those that don't may find other pathways to Jewish commitment and responsibility. And yes, death is another of those life cycle moments that opens us to deeper connections. Our tradition teaches that when we care for the dead, as Abraham does at the opening of our parashah, it is described as chesed shel emet, an act of pure kindness, because the person can never repay your generous deed. When my dad died this past summer, my family and I were held closely in the loving embrace of our communities. You can't receive what we received in a fee-for-service community. Imagine if I had to call the fee-for-service Jewish community. Yeah, my dad died. Could you send over to our home 9 loving people who know and care deeply for my family to make a minyan and bring us comfort? Oh, and by the way, how much do you charge for these folks? And is that per night, or is there a deal for the whole Shiva? Now, I get the dilemma for synagogue clergy. Believe me, I do. If we're busy caring for those who are not yet members, how can we have time to care for those who've made the commitment to membership? I asked that question of Rabbi Harold Loss as he picked me up on the way back from officiating at the funeral of a non-member. His Temple Israel in West Bloomfield Hills, Michigan, is our largest congregation, and I asked him, Harold, how in the world do you have time to care for a non-member when you have over 3,000 households here? His answer expressed a deliberate strategy to move people from the outside in through authentic and unstinting doses of audacious hospitality. He understands that a time of loss can be a gateway in, and that those on the margins who experience our loving care and audacious hospitality in that moment are more likely to find their way into the heart of our community. What we learn from the power of acts of chesed, like audacious hospitality, is that you can't measure impact in narrow terms alone. We practice audacious hospitality because it is a holy act that sometimes will lead a person to become a member of our congregations. But even if they don't join immediately, they will be affirmed and encouraged to come closer in Jewish life. And one day down the road, they may choose to connect more deeply with us. It takes time to grow our membership this way. This isn't speed dating with the ketubah in our hands. We're not spending 30 seconds selling ourselves to total strangers and then popping the question. I believe it was the great commentator Diana Ross who cautioned, "You can't hurry love." But it works. Our outreach and inclusion work to date has already had dramatic impact on Jewish life. In Boston, the partnership between Federation, congregations, camps, and other institutions have together doubled the number of interfaith families raising Jewish children. This is not rocket science. We know how to do it, and it is being done in parts of our North American community. It can be done in all of them. Meanwhile, Len Sachs of Brandeis just released new research that reveals that millennial children of intermarriage are more likely than older counterparts to have a Jewish religious background. In plain terms, the study proves that interfaith outreach works. We already knew it, but now everyone can know it. When we welcome millennial children of interfaith families into our many Jewish communities, they fall in love. Thanks to our outreach efforts, they are more likely to have been exposed to Jewish education and to have celebrated a bar or bat mitzvah. As adults, they are more likely than their older counterparts to remain a part of our community. Moving forward, we must take this outreach to another level altogether, with a coherent and comprehensive practice of audacious hospitality, bringing a deep, compelling, inclusive Judaism to an ever-increasing community of people. And besides practicing audacious hospitality in our own movement, we need to make sure our local federations and other communal partners understand this extraordinary opportunity. We, all of us, we are the best ones to advocate for this winning strategy across the waterfront of Jewish life. That deserves a little applause. Come on, people. When we practice chesed ve'emet, deeds of loving kindness, and offer the substance and nourishment of Reform Judaism, when we embody the compelling values of our tradition, sharing its wisdom, power, and beauty, people fall in love. And we'll see in a moment when we call up the various aliyot for our reading of Chayei Sarah that inclusion has not led to diminishment. To the contrary, we've grown our leadership and our ranks, with many of us who wouldn't be here today were it not for the lowered barriers and the deep substance of our Torah. In 1920, the German Jewish philosopher Franz Rosenzweig opened an institute in Berlin called the Lehrhaus. Its purpose was to open intellectual and spiritual doorways for the Jews of Germany to find their way to the riches of Judaism. Rosenzweig gave an address at the opening in which he understood our charge even long before we did. He said, all of us to whom Judaism, to whom being a Jew has again become the pivot of our lives. And I know that in saying this here, I am not speaking for myself alone. We all know that in being Jews, we must not give up anything, not renounce anything, but lead everything back to Judaism, from the periphery back to the center, from the outside in. But the truth is that the center is not static, nor is the periphery. That's the beauty and mystery of audacious hospitality. We're on a journey from the outside in and simultaneously from the inside out. Audacious hospitality can help each of us, no matter our background, find nourishment with the living embers of Torah. It's chronicled by the Mishnah. The great sage Hillel reframed the leadership of Aaron the high priest. With inspired clarity, we are all to be of the disciples of Aaron, loving peace and pursuing peace, loving your fellow creatures and bringing them close to the Torah. Ohev et habriot umikorvan la Torah. Love all people and bring them close to Torah. It doesn't say love all Jews and bring them close to Torah, but all people. Is it possible that we once practiced audacious hospitality with all of God's children? Surely we must do so now, because those on the margins today may be leading us tomorrow, and our movement will be all the richer for it. Rebecca, Hillel, and Aaron, not to mention years of groundbreaking leadership of our movement, have given us the tools we need to strengthen our congregations and other sacred communities, inspiring more and more people to fall in love with Judaism. What are we waiting for?